Hey, you want to watch some TV or something?
Skip it. Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Nothing but foul language and toilet humor.
I'm disgusted and repulsed and I can't look away.
I need these things! I need these things! Tell me, do you want to go? We're stopping on the color line. Oh, no way, Jose.
This just in, go to hell!
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Gobble, gobble. Happy Thanksgiving, listeners. You are listening to a brand new episode of Watch Skip Plus, a weekly movie review podcast with a lifestyle twist. I'm Turkey Alex, also known as MC, Barbie Barbarian, and I'm thankful for my co-host, Jose, Cupcake, Machine Gun Jam and Jelly. Jose, what are you thankful for?
You, the
Good
podcast, my job, my husband, everything.
Nice.
And maybe
How are
work.
you? Nice.
Good. I'm doing good. Looks like you're still maybe a little under the weather.
Yeah, like what the heck's up with that? It's still just a cough, but if I tried my best last episode to edit all of them out, so I will try it again. But YouTubers might see me. It looks like I'm dabbing, but I'm covering my cough.
Dabbing. Oh,
Yeah.
and right around the holidays, right? Isn't it so always?
Yeah, that's how it
Yeah.
goes. But just a heads up, we're recording back-to-back episodes, so we don't have to find a movie to watch on Thanksgiving weekend when we're visiting friends and family. So we're going to do Gladiator II for Thanksgiving. That's the episode you'll be listening to right now. And then we're going to do Wicked the week after. So since we also have lives to live today, these are probably going to be shorter episodes. But there will be timestamps in the description still, so jump around as needed. And before we get into it, please rate our podcast, leave a review. We've been loving all of the views on YouTube, but leave a comment. Let us know, like, if you saw the movie, if you agree with us, if you liked it. I'm also interested, like, if you were on the podcast, what your plus would be. Because I remember before I was co-hosting with you, I'd listen to all the episodes, and I'm like, oh, if I was on this week, I would be plus in this. This is such a cool thing. So, yeah, let us know.
Absolutely. Send us recommendations. We would love to, test out stuff and then give you our review, which is great. But also don't forget to subscribe. And we all know you've got that one guy, his whole life is movies. You've got that one guy or girl, his whole life is movies. So recommend us, please.
Yeah.
Recommend us.
Wow. That's a great recommendation, Jose, to recommend us. Anyway,
Yes.
what I'm going to not do a plus this week, and I'm not going to ask you a Q and Alex question, but I'm going to let you do a plus, and then we'll get into the actual movie. So, Jose, what's your plus this week?
Sweet. Okay, so this will be rather quick. I always say that, and as
40
people
minutes later,
in my legal profession know, 45 minutes later, they're like, "Are you done?" So I don't know if any of you are huge Dune fans. Maybe you've read the books. Maybe you've come into the Denis Villeneuve films with Timothée Chalamet. But if you don't already know, there is a new series now on HBO called Dune Prophecy. It's really funny. HBO for the longest time has said, God, are we going to find another Game of Thrones? Like, what's going to happen? And of course, they front-loaded The Last of Us, which features Pedro Pascal, who's also in Gladiator II. But I think they finally found it. And so Dune Prophecy has premiered. We've only got one episode in. So jump on. You can catch up. There's going to be a new episode on Sunday. And believe it or not, this is set 10,000 some odd years before Paul Atreides was born. And so based on Frank Herbert's Sisterhood of Dune, which is the origin of the Bene Gesserit clan, as well as the original Dune, because obviously we've got Atreides names and Harkonnen names in there. And yes, I think it's Harkonnen. So this stars some really, really great actors, with one exception, which I'm going to complain about. Emily Watson, Olivia Williams, they're great. Mark Strong. I am a huge Mark Strong fan. When I see that glorious bald head, I'm like, all right, now some good acting. So I watched the first episode. It is a little slow moving. There is a lot of narration, just like the movies, but it really is really, really compelling. There's a lot of obvious girl power going on, because this is how the Bene Gesserit started. This is created by Diane Edamu-John, and the showrunner is Alison Shapker. They are TV veterans. Diane Adamu-John has produced and written things like The Haunting of Bly Manor, Empire. If you ever saw that on Fox, it was so amazing and wonderful. I love that. She also helped write episodes for the original Medium television show starring Patricia Arquette. That actually got a little bit of a reboot. And Shapker has actually, she's sort of like a SWAT producer. She comes in as series are going on. So she's jumped onto later seasons of Lost, Alias. Primarily, she helped to write for Charmed, which is one of my favorite shows. She's also been associated with Westworld, Altered Carbon, etc. The one actor that I have qualms with is a gentleman named Travis Fimmel. He is a CK model. He is gorgeous. He's been in things like Vikings. He's also done TV shows overseas. But I find him very limited in his range. And when I say limited, what he likes to do is smirk and train those beautiful blue eyes at the camera, and then kind of go insane and crazy and kill people. And I feel like that's all he ever does in any of his roles. And sure enough, spoiler alert, here we go. Anyway, I loved it. I thought it was great. The production design is amazing. It's shot in Hungary. They are obviously continuing the look and feel of the movies. So jump on that, please. The other film that I checked out is, this is where I'm going to definitely turn to our listeners, because I don't know what the fuck happened in this movie. So it's a Max original called Caddo Lake, Caddo Lake.
Dylan O'Brien.
And this is, what's that?
Dylan O'Brien.
Yeah, man. I have the biggest crush on Dylan O'Brien, but he's
Who
also,
doesn't?
I know. He's also a really, really good actor. So this is written, directed by a gentleman named Logan George and a woman named Celine Held. George also is the editor, which is interesting. I love it when people wear different hats. I think they have predominantly directed like television shows like Apple TV's Servant. If I'm not mistaken, that's an M. Night Shyamalan movie series that he produces. This is also produced by M. Night Shyamalan. And once again, I will ask the listeners to listen to Trap, because I think it's a misunderstood movie. I have since done Google search reviews for Trap. Everybody fucking hates it. It's terrible.
It's not that bad.
I know it's not that bad, but there's some of it that's I believe the word is cringe these days.
Yeah, it's definitely a vehicle for his daughter. We talked about it. Oh, well.
We did. Go visit it. So this one, when an 8-year-old girl disappears on Caddo Lake, a series of past deaths, disappearances begin to link together, altering a broken family's history. Now, I will admit, at the beginning of this, I watched the first like sort of 35 minutes of this, and I was like, okay, what's going on? And then things started happening, and I was like, oh fuck, I wasn't paying attention. What the? So I don't want to spoil it. All I can say is that I have no idea what happened, and it I think I hurt my brain trying to think about it, and so I really, really want to recommend this. it might not pay off. I think mileage will definitely vary, but it is a thinker, and there are some really, really good performances in this. Eliza Scanlon is the co-lead here. I'm not familiar with a lot of her work. Lauren Ambrose is also in this, and then Eric Lang, who's a great TV character actor. Eliza Scanlon has been in like Sharp Objects, Little Women. She was in the M. Night Shyamalan Old as the older version of one of the characters. But she has a promising career ahead of her. So check it out, Caddo Lake. And then please write back to us, watchskipplus@gmail.com or any of our social media, because I would like someone to explain this to me. Please, God.
Is it scary?
There are some thriller aspects to it because you really don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Initially, as it's going on, you might think maybe something supernatural is happening, or maybe something seedy is happening in town. But yeah, I might actually watch it again just because I was like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we were looking at checking it out because we love Dylan O'Brien, but I think it was listed on the horror section of Max, so it gave Alexis some pause. So I think we watched something else.
No, I
instead.
think okay, so trigger warning, an alligator gets treated very badly. But other than that and abductions and things like that, it's not really a horror movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But
Great pluses.
yeah, that's my plus. You guys have got two things to check out. Go for it.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. So now we will get into our discussion on Gladiator II. I have the crew this week. So I will start out with director Sir Ridley Scott, GBE. He's been like knighted and all that shit. Pretty cool, I guess. He's one of the highest grossing directors of all time. You'll know Alien, the original Gladiator, obviously, Thelma and Louise, Blade Runner, The Martian, and many, many more.
And Legend. Let's just say this. I love his sci-fi fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel like he loves to do a period film with costumes that have lots of big battles. And we'll get to this later, but I kind of feel like he needs to move on from that era.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I liked more recently The Last Duel on first watch, and then I tried to rewatch it, and I was just like,
"This is hideous."
Like I'm
not that it's
tired.
hideous, but it's like I'm like, what did I like about this? It's slow.
Yeah, definitely. And I did not see Napoleon, and have no plans to ever see it.
Oh, that is a disaster of epic proportions. So I just want to mention one thing before you move on. I know we're trying to truncate these episodes a little bit, but Ridley Scott recently said something along the lines of, God bless him, he's very candid. He will speak his mind. And if you are a burgeoning filmmaker and you want to learn about how to be an efficient director, listen to any of his commentaries. Like, I remember listening to something and he was like, oh, this shot, we just shot the set from the other angle because we didn't have time to break things down. And the actors were really into it. And I was like, holy shit. What? And it comes from his like commercial and music video background. But recently he spoke his mind about Prometheus, which I think you and I both appreciate and love, right?
I wouldn't say love, but appreciate is an accurate description.
I love it. It's a very divisive alien universe film. But he came out and said, he was like, yeah, Prometheus was a failure. Everybody was asleep at the wheel. And I was like, what are you doing? Why? Why would you do that? It made me kind of angry. I was like, Ridley Scott, just think before you talk. That's not the only time he's run off at the mouth. And again, I do appreciate it, but like, Ridley, if you want to keep working, shh. Anyway.
I like how you described him as efficient, because some would say this movie is almost exactly the same as Gladiator. So if you just
there's
make
a very
the same
Top Gun
movie
Maverick.
again.
Yeah, there's a very Top Gun Maverick feel to this.
Oh, speaking of Top Gun Maverick, I'll get into the writers. Peter Craig gets a story by credit in this. He is the son of actress Sally Field, which is pretty cool.
Good stock.
He wrote 2010's The Town, a couple of the Hunger Games movies, Bad Boys for Life, The Batman, and Top Gun Maverick.
There you go.
There you go.
Sensing a trend here.
He has a Apple TV Plus series coming in March called Dope Thief. I think Brian Tyree Henry's in it. So check it out, maybe. I don't know if it'll be any good. We also have David Scarpa. He has screenplay by and story by credits. He did 2001's The Last Castle, The Day the Earth Stood Still, and then Ridley Scott's All the Money in the World and Napoleon more recently. He also did 3 episodes of The Man in the High Castle for Prime Video, but other than that, not a lot for him.
The Last Castle is really, really good. It's actually written by a very gorgeous actor, Brian something or other. I can't remember his name, but that actor actually went to prison. And so it's based on that. Robert Redford is in that. I know Scarpa gets a lot of shit for the Day the Earth Stood Still remake, but I actually kind of liked it. I revisited it and I was like, I didn't hate this as much.
You liking a movie that is panned by a lot of people is not surprising.
Not surprising. Exactly. And I already mentioned Napoleon was some shit. So
yeah. Every producer for this that I could find a birthday for is over 70 years old. So I'm not trying to be an ageist or anything, but I would think if you're doing like a sequel reboot thing, you'd want to inject some like youth and new life into this and try to make it a franchise. But I don't know. They didn't do that with the producers. Yeah. So cinematographer was John Matheson. He returns from the original. He's done films like The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Logan, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and next stop, Jurassic World Rebirth.
Yep. He's a great DP. I think this is his 5th film with Ridley Scott. I really do like his cinematography, especially for Hannibal. I know I'm a huge Hannibal fan, but I love the look of that movie, even if people hated the crap out of it.
Nice. And then editors, we have Claire Simpson, who has done Ridley's last 5 films and 6 films with him in total. And then also Sam Restivo, who also did Napoleon and I think one more. But they're our editor duo in this. And then we have music by Harry Gregson Williams, who has done over 126 different composer credits from movies, TV shows, video games, so many things. I couldn't pick any to name because there were so many. But that's all I had for the crew. Did you have anyone you wanted to shout out?
Harry Gregson Williams. I love that guy. I love his music. His brother, Rupert Gregson Williams, is also a composer. I think they both come from the Hans Zimmer sort of incubator, if you will. Mm-hmm. I wanted to mention Doug Wick, not to be confused with Wick Godfrey, who we've mentioned before, but Doug Wick, he's produced things like Wolf, which I love, with Jack Nicholson. I think he did the Divergent series as well. So when I see Doug Wick's name on something, I'm kind of like, oh, I might actually like this. And then the other person I wanted to shout out is I adore and am in love with this actor. His name is Alec Utgoff. He is Ukrainian born, but lives in Britain. I have been following his career for quite some time. Many will know him as Dr. Alexei from Stranger Things, the Russian scientist who liked the slushies from 7-Eleven. And then he won the Woody Woodpecker thing at the carnival game. But he's been in films like Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit. He had a substantial role in there. San Andreas. He's featured in the beginning of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. He also was the lead in a film called Never Gonna Snow Again. And that was directed by Margarita Shumazka and Michael Elgert. It got a lot of kudos from the festival circuit. But I might have yelped out loud by seeing him on screen in the opening and ending scenes in this film.
Cool. On to you with cast.
Yep. Okay. So, this one is maybe a little loaded. We have Paul Mescal, the current It Boy, arguably became famous from Hulu's Normal People, from the novel written by
Sally Rooney.
There you go. Yes, I forgot. And then, yeah, Alexis better be like, who? Written by who? And then, of course, his Academy Award nomination for After Sun, the A24 film. He studied acting at the Lear Academy and performed on stage in Dublin. Actually, he played the Phantom at age 16, and that was how he got into that particular academy. His film breakthrough or debut was in Maggie Gyllenhaal's directorial debut, The Lost Daughter, in 2021. I shouldn't say debut, but more like his film breakthrough, actually. And then, of course, he's been in this, and I feel like he has, well, recently, Strangers Among Us. I think he also got a BAFTA award for that.
All of
Strangers,
us
All of Us. Sorry.
All of Us Strangers.
All of Us Strangers. Sorry. I don't know.
The other gay strangers movie was Pedro Pascal. Is that what you were thinking of?
Maybe.
Is that one called Strangers Among Us?
And then curiously enough, they're both in this movie, and they both, X is littered with pictures of the two of them having picnics and swimming together in Morocco. What's going?
Nice.
I don't know. Anyway, speaking of Pedro Pascal, he is Chilean, also Castilian Basque. His father was actually aristocracy in that area. Believe it or not, I actually spotted Pedro for the first time in a Nikita episode. I was like, who is that? He also appeared shirtless. So there you go. Find that. He is known for, it's funny, X started calling him like a daddy. I mean, he's really good looking, but he tends to play these adoptive father figures. And so I'm kind of looking at The Last of Us, and then Disney Plus's The Mandalorian. Of course, he broke out in his role as Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones, as well as the Netflix Narcos series. He has 3 siblings, one of whom is transgender. That is actress Lux Pascal, and he is a staunch advocate for LGBTQ+. He attended the Orange County School of Arts and graduated in 93, and then followed with NYU Tisch School of the Arts. He debuted in a film called I Am Not That Girl in 2006. That'll bring us to Denzel Washington. What can I say about him? If you don't know about him already, maybe do some Googling. The great, the legendary, countless awards. We're talking 2 Academy Awards, 3 Golden Globes, a SAG, a Tony Award for August Wilson's play Fences, which he would then direct as the movie version. Educated at Fordham with a BA in drama and journalism. He did train at the American Conservative Theater for 1 year and then said, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go act. And act he did. He came to fame through the series Saint Elsewhere, so don't knock television, folks. It's a great starting ground. His film breakthrough was 1984's A Soldier Story. He has won Oscars for the films Glory and Training Day. And he's been nominated for films Cry Freedom, Malcolm X, The Hurricane, Flight, Fences, Roman J. Israel, and The Tragedy of Macbeth. He's worked with a ton of great directors, and why not? He has also worked with Ridley Scott before. American Gangster is the film that comes to mind. I'm sure there's one more in there I'm forgetting. He's also worked with Ridley's now passed away brother, Tony Scott, Man on Fire, as well as some other films. I want to say Out of Time and Deja Vu, although Out of Time might have been directed by someone else. Next, that brings us to Connie Nielsen, who returns from the first movie. Fun fact, there's only one other actor who returns from the first movie in this film. Do you know who that is? MC.
Yeah, it's the senator. I don't know his name.
It's the old white guy.
Yeah.
It's Derek Jacobi, or Jacoby, however you want to pronounce it. But Connie Nielsen was in the first Gladiator. She is a gorgeous Danish actress. She performed with her mother at a young age at local review and variety performing scenes. And then she was a model, surprise, in Paris, France. She studied acting in Rome, lived in Italy for 6 years. Her debut film was I'm laughing because it's a Jerry Lewis French film called Par où te renter, on te passe vous attend in 1984, but her English language debut was as the eye-catching, sexy temptress in The Devil's Advocate. If you remember that film, she had that like gorgeous ringlets of hair, and she was naked and banging Keanu Reeves. Anyway, she's also been in Mission to Mars for Brian De Palma, 1 Hour Photo for Mark Romanek, Basic for John McTiernan, Hunted for William Friedkin, Nymphomaniac for Lars von Trier, and she's worked with one of the great directors of our time, Zack Snyder, for the DCEU, and has been featured in Wonder Woman and Justice League. There's two other actors I want to shout out. Fred Heckinger, he's gorgeous. He's from New York. He's Jewish, adorable. You may know him from the Fear Street trilogy, as well as something else he was in that I forgot. Anyway, he studied with the Upright Citizens Brigade, which is like a improv sort of like comedy troupe. And I always have to laugh because before Gladiator II came out, he is going to be in Kraven the Hunter, and he's in this film. But every time I would see the trailers back to back, I'd be like, Fred Heckinger's blowing up. He's blowing up. The other person I want to shout out is Joseph Quinn. He is also blowing up. He's probably best known for BBC series, but he definitely came to fame in Stranger Things. Comes all around, another Stranger Things actor. He played Eddie Munson, which I always want to say Eddie Munster. He was also recently featured in A Quiet Place Day 1. And he's going to definitely blow up because he's in this movie, and he's going to play the Human Torch in the rebooted Fantastic Four, which also stars Pedro Pascal. What is going on? I feel like Pedro is just incestuous with his fellow actors and just sort of like brings them on to his projects. I don't know. Whatever's going on, it's great. Keep it going. Anyway, that's our cast. Anybody you wanted to shout out in the cast?
No, that was it. I never saw A Quiet Place Day 1, but I did hear Joseph Quinn was really good in it.
He is actually. He's almost unrecognizable in this. I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. He's like riddled with syphilis or something.
Well, no, that's Fred.
Both of them look like they are down bad.
I know. They look like they were on their deathbed. They were all like pale and like vampire-ish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was great. Thank you so much. I do not have a log line for this, but I guess it would just be it's the same movie as the as the one 24 years ago, but kind of different.
Kind of different because now it's his son.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Jose, what's your non-spoiler review of Gladiator II?
Okay, so let me just get this out of the way. I worship at the altar of Ridley Scott. Even if it's a film like All the Money in the World, which, by the way, had that sort of Kevin Spacey controversy. They had to boot him, and then they threw in Christopher Plummer at the last second. He was fantastic for at the last second, I will tell you. But even when there's a film by Ridley Scott that's like Matchstick Men, even his Russell Crowe Robin Hood, or even the movie I just mentioned, which now just went out of my head, Ridley Scott's a great director. Like, I feel like he has his pulse on what the audience likes and how to entertain or even to whip up suspense. Like, did he do Body of Lies? Maybe.
I don't
know. Or even, American Gangster. Okay. Cause he'd done several films with Russell Crowe, who I also adore. But the problem is when I saw this film, I did not see Alien Ridley Scott. I did not see Blade Runner Ridley Scott. I did not see Gladiator Ridley Scott. I sort of saw, well, let me put it this way. I looked at this film and Ridley Scott the same way I looked at The Irishman and Martin Scorsese, which was, yes, you are a great director, but your epics are too long. You cram too much into this. And maybe what worked for you before, you need to move on from, because this film, as you said before, is literally a blueprint of the first Gladiator. Now, I will say it's weird. There were portions of this film that got really, really exciting. Like, we'll talk about this in spoilers, but Pedro Pascal's character, I was not expecting that turnaround. But in the first scene, you realize he's kind of like sad, even though he's conquered all these people. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting, right? And then I was the Connie Nielsen character and learning her whole arc and what's going on. I was like, that's kind of interesting. And and then Denzel Washington's character. I was like, okay, I've seen this before. And then when he gets to go all Jack Nicholson Joker, I was like, that's interesting. But I did not sign up for whatever goes on in that fucking Gladiator arena, because let me tell you, that first fight that happens, I was like, oh, I'm already checked out. And then, this is not a spoiler, but it's because it's in the trailer, when they fill that fucking place up with water and they put sharks in there and there's a big ship, I'm like, nope. And I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to be the only person to say this, but Paul Mescal, I love you. You're sexy. I love those skinny fucking legs. You skipped leg day. But I think he was miscast in this. Horribly miscast in this. And it's not that, it's weird. It's not that he can't do the physicality, and it's certainly not that he can't emote, but he just feels like a fish out of water in this. He doesn't feel organic. His character then does this weird turnabout with his mom, which is super, super odd. And I swear to God, you could do a drinking game on Gladiator II. Take a shot every time there's a Braveheart speech by Paul Mescal. I was like, oh, another fucking Braveheart speech. Like, I was so done, right? Take a shot every time a gladiator walks in and is like, why are you all being weak? And then they die, right? And it just, oh God. And take a shot every time he takes a handful of dirt and goes like this.
You'd be fucked up if you played that drinking game.
Yes. Now, let me tell you, I did go into this with a very open mind, because I wanted it to be something new and dramatic, but instead of being a continuing sequel, it reminded me of the sequels of the 80s that were all just excess, but it was bigger, crazier, more special effects and more, just insanity or whatever. Like, this really feels like a direct-to-video sequel that just happened to land on the big screen. Now, I am happy. I'm super happy. My theater was crowded. Like, I went to a 5:45, but I looked at the 7 and the 8 o'clock showing, just crowded like you wouldn't believe.
We went at 2:20 and had to sit in the very front row.
Yeah. Also, this is weird. Predominantly, my audience was made up of late 30-somethings and 40-year-olds and older, and a lot of Black viewers. I was very surprised by that. I mean, it could be my area, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, they showed up for Denzel, and they were loving him. I was loving Denzel. So that brings me back to this. The performances are really good. The production design is great. The fight scenes are just as visceral as you would want them to be, but it just feels so tired, so old hat. And I texted MC after I got out of this, and my text was literally, what the fuck did I just watch? What the fuck was Gladiator II? So as much as I want to say it's a marginal watch and go see it on the big screen, nope, skip it. Skip it and wait for VOD. You do better doing your own fan fiction, okay? I think that would be even sexier. What do you think?
Jeez. Wow. I'll follow up with some questions when we get to the spoiler section, but
go for it.
My non-spoiler summary is, in theory, I love a lot of this. Like, I love how everyone's vying for the throne. There's like the corrupt Senate, the silly family drama, and all of that. Like, that's right up my alley. Also, in theory, I'm down for Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, and Denzel Washington. But in execution, this was so boring, and I did not enjoy it.
Wow, wait, you said boring.
Yeah, I kept dozing off. Alexis was dozing off. Like, it was pretty rough. It just felt so generic. There's no swagger. Like you said, all the Braveheart speeches. Anytime someone would start talking, I was just like, okay, like it doesn't matter. I know what they're saying. I don't even have to hear them say it. I know what's happening.
I think there's 4 or 5 of them. Like,
yeah,
it aggravated me. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No worries. We also have we keep saying it's the same as the original. So I'm gonna kind of break it down and spell it out. We have a military man who becomes a slave and gets put in the like gladiator arena, who is the heir to the throne. The current ruler, now it's rulers, are like twisted and evil and demented, and they're like the personification of something bad. So we know immediately, this person sucks, or these guys suck. There is the lady who has a plot to overthrow that ruler, but she shares her plot with the corrupt Senate, who we know is corrupt, and someone tattles on her and it backfires, and she can't overthrow anymore. Also what happened in the original. The only difference is we have Denzel Washington to come in and just throw a wrench into things and have his own plot and plans and that stuff. And we have a happy ending, I guess. So
Is it a happy ending?
I don't know. At least the main, well, I don't know. I don't want to spoil. I guess I could spoil it. At least the main character doesn't.
We'll talk about that in the spoiler section. But it's funny. I was like, oh my God, he's spoiling it. And I was like, no, you're not. It's the same fucking movie.
Yeah, exactly. And going off what you said, as much as I love Paul, I don't think he has the charisma of 2000s Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure if it's his fault. Like, I like him in a lot of other things, and he is the type of person, like, he's a really good actor, and if you're doing a Gladiator sequel, it's like, who do we get in this role to, like, maybe breathe new life into the franchise? Like, he is someone that I would have kind of drawn a line to and been like, I would like to see him in this role, kind of like James Bond. I'd like to see him in that, just because he's an attractive guy, and like I think he's a good actor. I could
see him as James Bond, actually.
Yeah, but I don't think he could do the rage as well as Russell Crowe. And in this, Denzel Washington kept being like, I see the rage inside you. I can tell. Like, that's why I want you to be a gladiator. No, I didn't see it at all. He didn't see it at all. You're right. It was pretty rough.
There was definitely a disconnect. Like, he can handle the physical scenes, and I mean, a couple of those Braveheart speeches were kind of rousing. Okay,
not for me.
Anyway, go.
They were arousing because I saw him, but I think he tried his best. But also, our introduction to him was so generic. It was like, okay, he has a wife. He's going to do this. Obviously, the wife is going to die. He's going to be put into the gladiator arena as a slave. Like, this movie was not written for us to be, like, invested in him. Like, he doesn't have a great introduction to where I'm like, okay, this is why I want to root for this guy. Oh, my gosh, I love him. It was just so generic, and it was like, okay, he's just going to be new Russell Crowe. Like, just act like he's Russell Crowe. So it's weird. They
kind of, so when I say that sometimes there were like little tweaked differences, like the tweaked difference was we then see the wife strapping on to be like a military person. And I was like, okay, I kind of like that or whatever, Yeah. But you're right. It all felt painfully generic. I saw Beanie's tail in the reflection, and I was like, "Oh, yay!" But yeah, it felt, yeah. And then we'll talk in the spoiler section. They could have cut out a good 30 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, this movie's long. This movie's shorter than Wicked and felt longer than Wicked.
Oh my God, yeah! Did it feel long? It felt. Yeah, it was crazy. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, the guy that played the Hound was one of the Praetorian security guards for the twin people. I was like, oh, it's nice. What's his name? Rory McCann, I think his name is.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But Okay, what did you think about the fight scenes though? Because I feel like people are going to be like, okay, so this is why I hated Top Gun Maverick so much, was people were like, oh, it was great or whatever. I'm like, okay, you stole from Star Wars and it's just the same fucking movie, right? And so I feel like people with this are going to be like, oh, what do you want from Gladiator? How about an actual story? And then I know people are going to be like, well, the fight scenes are fantastic or whatever, you know? And it's like, but that's not enough, right?
Yeah, I didn't think the fight scenes were anything incredible. At least it was like loud and woke me up and I was like invested. But I will say, I'm sure the water, I'm sure people are going to hate the water fight or whatever. But to me, it was the sequel to Under Paris. It's called Under Rome. We got dumb looking CGI sharks.
Yeah, I sort of rail against people who are who watch a movie and they're kind of like, how did they get the sharks in there? But quite honestly, I was like, how did they get the sharks in there?
Yeah, me too.
How did they, you know? And then it's like, oh my God, I don't remember any Gladiator movies where they're training on rowing or whatever. Like, it was so weird.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And that's what brings the craziness that happens here is what makes me think about those direct to video sequels to big franchise that are just like, oh, this sucks. Like it felt like a Scorpion King sequel. Does that make sense?
Damn. I will say, like, it definitely had a big budget and looked good.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think you could tell that there was a lot of money and time spent on it, but from a like entertainment perspective, I definitely agree with you that it feels like a direct-to-video movie. And I'm sure people are going to be like, yeah, I freaking love this. Like, if you love the first one, why wouldn't you just love this one? And
my favorite phrase, I had fun with it. That's
I did
fun.
not.
That's no. I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
people are going to be like, oh, Gladiator 2, I had fun with it. And it's like, but is that really, as film critics, is that really what we're looking for, just to have fun with it? Although it works sometimes, right? I mean, Madam Web, what can I say? So, anyway. Anything else to talk about? Oh,
Nah.
Can I just tell you, I knew we were in trouble with the opening credit sequence. It looked so janky and terrible.
The animation?
Yes.
I kind of liked it.
Oh,
because
no. I would. Okay. No, it looked cheap and shitty.
What was the production company?
Scott
It's
Free.
like, yeah, it was like in the same
It was like their logo.
vein of their logo. I thought that was kind of cool.
No.
But yeah, they were beating us over the head with visuals from the original
the first
movie.
film. Yeah, exactly.
Just
But
so we knew what movie we were watching.
Right. Just so you know, folks. Also, whoever created the actual title where it says Gladiator and then the eye splits into the two, I was
Gladi-2-ater.
well,
Glad-2-ater.
But I was just saying, like, oh, they know they're just duplicating the first movie.
Yeah.
And then when I see that credit scroll or the opening credits sequence, it looks like a TikToker created it with Riverside. By the way, we're on Riverside and we love Riverside. I'm just saying.
It's really cool.
It looked like it got created by fucking Riverside.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So I guess that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to spoilers and we can talk about everything else. So
wait, are you skip or a watch?
I'm a skip.
Okay. Wow.
It's not like a heavy skip, but I wouldn't be like, yeah, you gotta see Glad-2-ater. I'd just be like, maybe if it's on streaming and you like the first one and you don't care about quality too much, like, check it out.
Yeah.
But if you were a skip as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a skip.
Cool. If you have not seen Gladiator 2, then probably tune out here, or if you don't care getting spoiled, then stay tuned, but we're going to spoil it. So 3, 2, 1.
Okay. As much as I was entertained by the syphilitic brother taking over, and then naming the monkey as part of now I like, you know, if you think about like Caligula and his horse or whatever happened with all of that shit, yeah, I know there's a basis in history for it, but when that scene happened, I literally was like, oh no, we're going there, right? And we didn't need to. And as if that wasn't enough, it's followed up by the scene where Denzel takes the head out and then he sticks it on there and he's like turning it to like show everybody else like, this could be your head if you fuck with me or whatever. I was like, as much as I loved it, it just, you know, fostered the excessiveness of everything, the excessiveness of the production design, the excessiveness of the mutant baboon CGI stuff, the shark stuff. And I just was like, I'm done. But what did you think about that scene? I mean, Denzel's great in it, but come on.
The problem is, anytime you have a head detached from a body, and that head is supposed to look like Joseph Quinn, I'm just staring at the head trying to find a flaw. Like, does this look like what he would look like decapitated? I don't know. I don't know if it looks good or bad, but that was all I was focused on. I did not care about what was happening in that scene. I was like, are the ears right? Is that what his hair would look like? Like, I was being so critical of it.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that because my OCD was going insane because I was like, okay, you know, Denzel was touching it, and then afterwards he was like touching his face and stuff. I was like, oh, girl, get some antibacterial or something, you know? It was like, oh, it's too much.
Yeah.
But that scene could have been cut. I mean, I know it's a vehicle for Denzel to be like whatever, but that could have been cut. So much of this could have been cut. Can we just talk about, like, did he know he was the son of the emperor, like, even from the beginning?
I don't think from the beginning.
I
don't
feel
know
like
when
he knew from
found
the
out.
beginning that
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, whenever he bought him or whatever, he was just like, oh, this one like fights it. Like, he was fighting the weird mutated baboons really well, and he was like,
Okay, what was that? Did those
First off,
exist?
I don't think so, but he like beat that one by biting it or whatever, and then he killed it. And there were like 8 other baboons.
Yeah.
And then he just like stands up after beating that one, and like all of them are gone.
Right. I had the
And
same question.
It was like the rest of the gladiators must have killed them or whatever. But then I was like, so why am I so impressed that he did it?
Yeah.
Because obviously everyone else did as well, if everyone's just standing there.
Also, it looked fake as shit. I'm pretty sure there was a longer baboon battle scene, but the minute those CGI baboons came out, I was like, it was worse than the Indiana Jones one where the monkey scene and the car scene where they're like jumping back and forth, and
yeah.
Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. When I saw the opening credits and then the mutant baboons, I was like, oh no, this film's in trouble.
Yeah, it left much to be desired. I will say, I did like, you mentioned Pedro Pascal. I did like his character's story. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
Like him being the military leader for these rulers he doesn't agree with, and like him trying to take over, but it felt like, you know, not for himself, like just because he's like, I like being the military guy. I don't want to do it for these 2 fucking kids who don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I thought that was
definitely
really
liked his arc. I was like, I would rather watch that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though he's in it, I was like, that's more interesting than Mescal, you know?
Yeah, but like, are you going to sell Gladiator on it being like, okay, it's Pedro Pascal, and he's not a gladiator, he's a military man, and he's trying to take over? No, like, you have to get the new Gladiator. It has to be fucking Russell Crowe's son, because that's what puts butts in seats. That's why everyone was there today.
Yeah.
Or yesterday.
But so I think So I'm going to mention two faults of the movie. One is, first of all, I wasn't really sure if he really knew from the beginning or had an inkling that he was the emperor's son, but chose to stay far, far away from the madness of Rome. But the one flaw are the scenes between him and his mom. They just didn't have the impact that they should have.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand if it was just a matter of him not accepting his birthright the way that he treated his mom the first time she came in. But then there's this reversal where he's like, oh, I love you. And then they're like hugging or whatever. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, yeah, it's
I noticed that too. I also don't understand why did she get rid of him back in the day?
Because they knew they would kill him because he was the heir. And so that's why she secreted him away and sent him away from, even though Joe Queen Phoenix was dead. Yeah. So it was interesting that they sort of retconned that or whatever, but we knew, right? Didn't they put the kid on the horse and send him away or whatever? But that's what she was trying to do. She knew they would go after the heir and kill him. And so that's why they put him there. But in the beginning, we're getting flashes of him like remembering things like in Rome. Mm-hmm. And so they just didn't flesh that out well enough because there's just too much of a weird, like 1 minute he hates her and 1 minute he accepts her and is like, let's get a new Rome, you know? The other flaw that I had was, and I know this is, you know, far be it from us to be like, this is how they should have written it, but there's a little bit of a twist to Denzel Washington's character. And the twist is essentially that he was a slave, right? That, or he was branded just, you know, with the mark of the emperors, but he worked his way up and sort of had this notion of revenge. But when he ultimately gets power, it's more just like, yeah, now it's my fucking turn, right? I would have thought it would have been more interesting if he would have led the revolt to take over, or maybe conspired with Mom and Pedro Pascal for, you know, a new Rome, a new free Rome. But instead, he's just as worse as the other people, even though he comes from that, you know, he was a slave at one point.
So the reason he didn't work with like Connie Nielsen's plot to overthrow is because he was a slave of her dad.
Okay. Yeah. That's right.
So that's
okay.
why he shot her and killed her with the thing. Like he wanted her
Correct.
dead.
Yes, as a revenge thing.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, that's right. But still, it would have been nicer if, again, he was like, if we got to the same endpoint that we got at the end of the film. But even that was a little confusing because there's the two factions, like the Emperor's Praetorian Guard, and then like the forces of Pedro Pascal's army in waiting in Tuscany or wherever the fuck they were. They were coming to help with the rebellion.
Yeah.
And then we get that fifth fucking Braveheart speech where he's like, let's all unite and da-da-da. And they're all like, rah, 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 or whatever. And then it fucking ends. But, you know, I tend to fall in love with these men that love history. And so Scooter was like, oh, well, you realize those two factions begins the downfall of Rome because then there was the, and I'm like, shh. So I know, anyway, I know that it's like historically accurate. And that's why I said when you were like kind of a happy ending, and I'm like, no, not really, because it creates two sides again. That was,
gotcha.
Yeah. But,
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I did want to point out, how would you feel if you like went to a baseball game or a basketball game and they have guards lined up around the outside and they're pointing bows and arrows at you to make sure you don't get out of hand? Like that's what was happening. I'm like, why are these people just like cool, just like still chanting? Someone's pointing an arrow right at your skull.
Yeah, I don't understand that portion of it. And then I was like, eventually someone's gonna get arrowed, and they did, and then mass chaos or whatever. But So there's certainly some weird mixed social commentary because on the one hand, the writers want you to root for, what was his name, by the way? Because I was like, Arno,
Hano.
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 Okay, Hanno.
Sure.
Maybe.
I thought maybe one in, but
I kind of like Arno better, but anyway. So they, the writers ostensibly want you to cheer for Hano and a free Rome and freeing everybody. And yet there's this sort of commentary about how the people in the Colosseum who should be free from the tyranny love the tyranny and like to join in the tyranny and enjoy the bloodshed until somebody gets arrowed. And then they're like, fuck it. We don't like this. It's so weird.
yeah,
It was a weird mixed message. It's just not very well written is what I want to say.
I agree. I also wanted to mention, this does have a 71% from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and an 84% by the audience.
What?
Yeah. So
I don't understand anymore.
I think people like it, but
yeah. Listen, I'm very happy that people are getting on board with this and they're going back to the theater for exhibition. I'm happy for that. I just wish that it wasn't Top Gun Maverick and Gladiator II that saves exhibition.
I get it. I like Top Gun Maverick, but it's fine. I get it. I will say it was kind of fun doing we did the Barbenheimer thing with this where we watched Wicked and then Gladiator 2 back to back. So that was pretty fun.
That's 6 hours of your life is what that
I know,
was.
and we got drunk in the middle. So maybe that was why we were falling asleep at Gladiator 2. Did you see the picture I sent you? I don't think it ever sent.
What? No, I wanted to see it. By the way, I don't like Glicked as much as... Oh, you know what? It never sent. That's nice. Oh, were you blocking Alexis's face? You're so sweet.
But
my God.
That's the huge beer I drank.
Jesus, it's like the size of a gladiator sword.
Yes.
Yeah, that, I don't know. I don't like Glicked. I kind of wish it was like Wikiator instead. I think Glicked it sounds
I didn't know
like,
that was a thing.
Like a Blumpy. It sounds like a dirty sex maneuver. I would rather it had been called like Wikiator instead of Glicked.
Is this a thing?
They were calling it Glicked. Glicked
Weekend.
Weekend.
I prefer like Gladicked.
No, that sounds even more like a sex.
Glad-dicked? Like, that's how it's spelled? That's nice.
I have been glad-dicked many times on a Saturday.
Man, I have not.
Any other further thoughts?
No, I don't think so.
Actually, I have a further thought. As much as I like the score for Gladiator 1, which was done by Hans Zimmer, there is a sort of an upbeat, bass tempo thing going on with the score that Harry Gregson Williams did for this. And I don't know. I kind of like it. I had been listening to it at work. So it goes from like dramatic to like this when they're like fighting and stuff. It's kind of cool.
It was great to doze off to in the theater. So
put me right to sleep.
No, my eyes were just like, I'll say I dozed off like twice, but it was just one of those where like my eyes were glazed over anytime it was just like a couple of people talking. Oh, we should mention the like medical gladiator guy. Do you remember what his
I forgot
name
to
was?
mention him because that's another tweak of the screenplay that I kind of like. I mean, he's kind of, I guess, like the Oliver Reed character, but definitely more hands-on. But okay, just because this is not just because I'm gay, but I was like, those two should be lovers. Because there was a very homoerotic thread. They're like looking into each other's eyes and he's like penetrating him and like, suturing up his wounds, but they're both like, tell me more. I was like, wow. But I want to see a movie about that guy. That was an interesting character.
I thought it was more, instead of like an Oliver Reed stand-in, the Jaimin
Hansu.
Hansu. Yeah.
Yeah, the black gladiator.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally.
But yeah, I was like,
Are
because
they gonna fuck?
the cell that he was in or whatever, like there was just this huge square for his face, and I was like you can just put your face out that and kiss right now. It doesn't I
Right.
won't mind.
Right. But that was an interesting character that I would have rather have seen a movie about.
See, I think anyone outside of Denzel, Pedro,
Connie and Paul. That
even
sounds like a
Connie.
great law firm, by the way.
But everyone just felt like NPCs, non-playable characters. Like, I didn't really care about them. I didn't know anything about them. They could have been played by anyone. They could have been any race, any sex, and it wouldn't have mattered at all.
Yeah. I love that. I think I'm going to start using NPC more. We'll put
Yeah.
we'll dovetail that into our reviews a little bit more.
Great.
But all right. Well,
Yeah.
here you
It's
have
a skip
it.
for me.
Is it a skip? Yep. It's a
Yep.
skip for me too. I hate to be that guy. I'm just going to do it.
Good. I'm glad you didn't love this, and I say skip, and then it's again like, oh, Alex hates fun. Alex doesn't like the battles.
Alex
in
hates
the
fun.
Colosseum.
No. I think we are. Yeah. This is I'm not going to say it's Drive Away Dolls bad, but it's near there.
I wouldn't say that. It's like it's better than Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire.
Yeah. Totally.
It's better than.
Don't say Madam Web.
It's better than Madam Web. It's like better, but I would rather watch Madam Web. I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, it's still on Netflix.
Okay.
All right. So there definitely skips. Okay. If we're wrong about this, guys, please reach out to us. We're trying to foster a community here. Community as in spread the word about us, leave a review, like, subscribe, see us on Spotify with video because now they have video, and then YouTube, of course. And we know that sometimes y'all will watch the movie and then come back. But just remember to do that.
Yeah.
Because we'd love to hear from you. So if we got this wrong, if we're just fun suckers, just let us know. You can reach out to us on any of our social media. We've got Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Discord, is that right? Maybe
Yes.
Blue Sky and Threads. I'm not sure. I'm hesitant to download the Threads app, period, but I could probably do Blue Sky. But if you, no. If
That's
you
fine.
love us, you will certainly love our Podfathers, The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema, as well as Not a Bomb. I am about to record a Not a Bomb episode on Madam Web,
Nice.
but we're still waiting to do Not a Bomb Classics and Singing in the Rain. More on that when it is
I need it.
scheduled. I know.
I put in the Not a Bomb Discord. Check it out, everyone. I'll include the link below. But I said I am once again asking for a Not a Bomb Classics episode. Two
Yes.
people responded. One said I second this idea, and one said I third this idea. So
There you go.
give
There
the
you
fans
go.
what they want.
Well, a topic to cover on Monday. All right. You'll also love the OG's Night of the Living podcast, as well as Wild Dream podcast, Daniel and David. They also have a Twitch that they put up on YouTube when they play video games. And curiously enough, those guys, I love those guys. They're so fucking funny. But you can get on Twitch with them and follow them and hang out and talk movies, which I don't know. That might be something for us to think about too, maybe. I don't know. I'm terrible at video games. You also love Death by DVD, Raiders of the Podcast, Backlook Cinema Podcast, and now for something a little bit different, the YouTube channel with John Horgan. I'm going to be recording an episode soon. It's Jeff Bridges. We are looking at Winter Kills. I want to say it's 1978. And then you'll also love Caliber 9 from Outer Space and The Feminine Critique. These have great back catalogs if you want more information about films. Married with Clickers, VHS Files, Silva and Gold, Cult of Muscle, Friends with Cinephites, and...
Oh my gosh. That reminds me. The first podcast episode that I ever did was on Gladiator.
No way.
Yeah, over 4 years ago now. So I've come full circle.
Shit.
I wouldn't recommend going back and listening to that because
Yes,
it's probably
I would.
really bad.
I would. Throwback Thursday. Find friends with Cinnamons and listen to MC, and you'll see he's come a long way. He really has.
Actually. I really have. I
So,
hope, but
it's great. It's
yeah,
great.
So I'm Alex. He's Jose. This is Watch Skip Plus. Save exhibition, buy physical media, and we will see you at the newspaper factory in Rome.
Yeah.
Because there's a newspaper in this. Denzel Washington's reading a newspaper, and the printing press did not exist.
Oh my God. So anachronistic. Damn you, Scarpa and Craig.
I
Y'all
know.
are fools.
Like, just have him there, like, eating a grape or something. But
Well,
no,
have the
he's sitting
monkey
there
come in with a letter, and he'll be like, rebellion.
Yeah. Yeah.
That monkey, man. Every time I saw
Pretty
it,
cute.
I screeched. No, it's in a dress, and it could
I
not
love
be
it.
tamed. There was literally a scene where Fred and Denzel are trying to act, and it's jumping from head to head. I swear to
Yep.
God, that was an outtake that they just kept in.
Yep.
But God bless them, they kept going.
I know. Okay, anyways, peace.
Peace.